Hey there, this is Death Star Killer and welcome to another movie review. Jungle Cruise is a new action adventure from Disney, starring Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, Jack Whitehall, Jessie Plemmons and Paul Giamatti. I'll keep this as spoiler free as I can. Somewhere deep in the Amazon, the magical tree, a tree whose petals can cure anything. Hundreds of years ago, conquistadors tried to take the tree for themselves, but the jungle actually comes alive and curses them, forcing them to live there forever as part of the jungle and not ever be able to stray far from the river. Emily Blunt's character, Dr. Lily Houghton, wears pants. Shocking.
You're wearing pants?
Trousers, and yes, as are you.
And along with her brother McGregor, played by Jack Whitehall, hires the Rock to bring them up the river following a map to try and find the tree, all the while being pursued by Jesse Plemons' German prince in his submarine. The movie is definitely going for a mix of The Mummy and Indiana Jones. There's some physical comedy hijinks in London with Emily Blunt, and then lots more in Paul Giamatti's town before the cruise begins. It's quite fun too. Things slow down on the boat, but for me that's the high point of the film. Because unlike most blockbusters these days, it forces the movie to calm down. It's in these scenes that the chemistry between The Rock and Emily Blunt gets to shine. I found all these scenes to be a pure joy, and I even found myself a few times being disappointed when they got interrupted by the story. The brother, played by Jack Whitehall, was a little annoying at first, but you do grow to like him as the movie goes on. Another thing I liked was I loved the constant threat of danger. We're often seeing in the background something small being eaten by something bigger, and then that being eaten by something bigger again, and so forth. There's always a bigger fish. Another thing I loved was a quirk that they gave The Rock's character of him constantly telling dad jokes. And I love dad jokes. There's lots of good ones. I won't spoil any of them, but they're pretty good. The action involving the boat, the submarine, the few puzzles they have to solve, all of that stuff in the first 2/3 of the movie I really enjoyed. Unfortunately, the end finale is another at night cookie cutter CGI mess. Could have done without it. The other two biggest letdowns for me was the music and the villains. The film needed a really good evil villain. Good evil. Jesse Plemons' German prince, while being a bit fun and cartoony, I just wish he'd had a bit of a harder edge. Then there's the other villains, led by Édgar Ramírez, and they were just a CGI mess that I just didn't care about at all, and I didn't find in any way threatening really. Paul Giamatti is completely wasted in what looks to be like a role he probably did in a day. He's barely in it. There's a few times in the movie where you can tell it really wants you to get pumped up and like, yeah! But the problem is, it's got this really bland soundtrack, this bland theme music that just does nothing to get you going. Like, this needed an iconic theme like Indiana Jones, or even The Mummy, or Pirates of the Caribbean. They needed to get Hans Zimmer or somebody like that. I think with the right soundtrack, it would have been a good 20% better. I also didn't mind the CGI cat in the film. I thought it was kind of cute. TC didn't hear that. Despite those few things I wasn't mad about in the finale, overall this is really good fun for everyone. The fun script and the chemistry between the leads really keeps it all afloat. Look at that poster. I wish posters were like that again. Remember when they were all like that, even if it was just a thriller? Movies just had great posters back in the 70s and 80s and some of the 90s. Oh, I miss those days. I give this rating purely based on the chemistry 4 Tom Cruises out of a rock. Well, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Until the next time, this is Death Star Killer, signing off.